Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Deleted, recovered PLS Giblife. My 22 female boyfriend, 23 male of 3 years just told me I have a month to convince him to stay with me. My boyfriend and I met in college and have been together for over 3 years, a year of which was long distance due to him graduating and moving to a different state for a job, and I still had a year left of college. While the distance was difficult, we made it work. We have had our fights and rough patches over the past 3 years, but have always managed to come out stronger in the end. But this time, I have no idea what to do. About 2.5 months ago, I told him I had been feeling a space between us and I didn't know why and wanted to discuss it. He told me he hadn't noticed anything and I was being a worrywart, that we were fine and nothing was wrong. Then, about 2 weeks after this, 2 months ago from today, we started fighting constantly over the dumbest things. We would try and talk about why we were fighting and ways to fix it, but the conversation never stuck, and the next 2 days or so we were at each other's throats again. Then, about 3 weeks ago, he stopped responding to my calls and texts. We don't live together. Every day I would continue to text him and ask him how his day was, what he was up to, if we could meet up soon, etc. I would be lucky to get a response in reply, let alone more than one word. I asked him several times why he was ignoring me, to which he wouldn't respond. And if we were still together, to which he said yes. When he said yes, I figured it was a rough patch, a severe one, but I was confident that we would make it through, that he would eventually start returning my calls and we would figure out what was going on. Perhaps that was my mistake for waiting around on him and not being more proactive. I thought of going to his house and demanding explanations, but that seemed slightly crazy. I thought of sending him ultimatum texts saying he better start talking to me or we were through, or that he better tell me what was going on or I was walking. But I love him and those seemed unfair, rude, crazy, and I didn't want to be that type of person. I thought he just needed some time and that he would come around. Even though being ignored hurt, I felt I needed to give him the space his silence was asking for. He randomly showed up at my apartment 2 days ago. He told me we need to talk and my heart dropped. He said that a few days before he was trying to write me a Valentine's letter about why he loved me and couldn't come up with a single reason. I said perhaps it was because we hadn't seen each other or talked a lot. He said it was more than that and that during those 3 weeks he took time to step back and look at our relationship in a new light. He explained that the silence had started with him still being angry with me over a petty fight we had and he wanted to give me the silent treatment for a day. Neither of us can remember what the fight was about, but then he just didn't feel the need to message me back the next day either or the day after that. He said in those 3 weeks he had felt there was a void between us and that I was the reason for it. That the fights over the years and my attitude in general had just left him exhausted and he couldn't find a reason to try anymore. He went on to tell me that he didn't know if he still loved me, but that he cares deeply for me and he didn't want to just throw away 3 years, so he was going to give me a chance to fix it. He told me I had a month to convince him why we should be together, why we should try to fix our relationship, why it would be different this time, and why he should continue to see if he could love me. That over the month he would look for these things, and if he didn't see an attempt, then at the end of the month we'd be over. If he did see an attempt, he would then start to try too. I was shocked, hurt, beyond confused, bawling my eyes out, and couldn't understand where this was coming from. I asked him what it was about my attitude and his response was that I needed to figure it out on my own. I am aware I have a temper, but it's something I've worked our entire relationship on to keep in check. Yes, it does slip every now and then, but I always say sorry and explain that it was my fault for being irrationally angry. I have a sharp tongue when we fight, but so does he. I have a bad habit of being passive-aggressive when I'm annoyed with him and don't want to come right out and say it, but I've been working extremely hard over the past year and a half to not be like that. So I have no idea what he could mean. As for the fights, after we had calmed down and said our sorries, we always talked about what had caused it, why that had been the catalyst, how it could be prevented, and what we could both do to make sure it didn't continue. We were both generally pretty good at sticking to it as well, up until 2.5 months ago. We had always been open about the fights and what we didn't like. I had thought we were getting everything out then, but I guess not, because he blamed me for them. When I asked him about the fights and if he could explain to me what he meant, he told me no. He went on to say that he would talk to me every day starting Monday so he could see if I was making any progress, and then he left. You guys, I have no idea what to do. I don't want to leave him because I feel like he's genuinely the person I'm supposed to and want to marry, but I don't know how to show him these things or where this is even coming from. We don't even really fight to begin with. This just all came out of nowhere and I have no idea why. I've been crying pretty much since he left. I'm at my wit's end and I'm going crazy with worry about this. Well, OP, in my opinion, your boyfriend is a coward. He clearly wants to end the relationship, but just doesn't have the stones to do it. So he's just making up this bogus charade and putting you in a position where you need to prove that you love him? Tell him to get bent. Who does he think he is? Some sort of a prize? I'll tell you what I think he is. I think he's the crap inside of a bag full of crap. Like I said, he's a coward and he wants to make you responsible for the end of the relationship so he doesn't feel bad or something. Honestly, his whole attitude is pissing me off, telling you that he's gonna judge you every day to see if you're making any kind of progress. OP, there is no way that you can win this situation. But just for argument's sake, let's say you do. Let's say he tells you that yes, he realized that you loved him and that he needs to stay with you. How do you think that's gonna play out in the future? It's simply going to erode and eventually destroy your self-esteem. You're going to be constantly censoring yourself and trying to bend over to make him happy just so he doesn't leave you. OP, unfortunately, there is only one thing that you need to understand. This relationship is over. You need to tell him to just not call you anymore and to move on with his life. And you need to do the same, regardless of whatever flaws you think you might have or that he's trying to point out that you have. You deserve better than this piece of crap. And what do you guys think OP should do? What would your advice be? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Spectrum 2081 says, "Holy power play, Batman! Every relationship is a bit unequal. Someone always cares more, always puts in just a bit more effort than the other, but what he's asking you to do is beg. Call it off. If you want help drafting a strongly worded letter, I am good at it, but you cannot love him enough for the two of you. You can't give him a line for him to nod over and think, oh yeah, I guess I do love you now that you pointed that out. That's not how it works. If you actually convince him to keep going in this relationship, the dynamic will change forever. All fights will be your fault. All the problems will be yours to fix alone. And he will dump you, but not before he strips you of every ounce of self-respect you've got, because it won't end due to him being an unhappy and demanding a-hole, but because you failed to convince him you're worth keeping." Hector Baya says, "He's set up a situation you can't win. Even if he has some legitimate gripes, which he may or may not, his refusal to tell you what they are is some manipulative BS that allows him to move the goalposts no matter what you do. He's already halfway out the door and just too chicken crap to actually own it, so he's trying to shift the blame onto you. I know it feels like he's the one right now, but you're so young, and given how long you've been with this guy, I'm guessing it's your first serious adult relationship. Your perspective is skewed by that. If he was the guy you're supposed to marry, he wouldn't be treating you like this. His behavior is unfair, immature, and incredibly disrespectful to you. Giving you the silent treatment for 3 weeks? That's like middle school relationship drama, not how adults treat each other. Don't buy into his games, just end it and go no contact. You'll find someone better." Happy Endings for All says, "During the 3 weeks he was gone, he joined the relationship police. He, with his new authority, put you on probation. You have to make 30 perfect phone calls before he will even take you off his probation and act like a normal caring person. Yeah, those 30 test phone calls are going to be a blast. If you fail, you will be exiled. Call him Monday from a loud and happy place and tell him you have decided to be exiled from his kingdom forever. Sorry OP, you've had 3 weeks to adjust to the loss of him. Go forward with your life. Almost any other relationship is going to be easier and happier and more sane than dealing with your old boyfriend and his current ultimatums. I promise, it is no longer your job to figure him out or cater to this very unusual whim. Be free. OP's edit. Wow, you guys, I went away from the keyboard to get some much needed sleep and then drove several hours to my mom's because she always knows how to make things better. I came back to this and holy crap guys, thank you to everyone who commented and reached out to help me. You and my mom really helped put things in perspective, and after doing some long and hard thinking and talking, today I realized that he's not the kind of person I want to be with, and even though I still do love him, this isn't the type of behavior I can condone. Also, the long talk I had with my mom helped me realize how afraid I am of just being alone. And even though it hurts to even breathe right now, I know it won't always feel like this. Anyways, I'm pretty sure I know what I want to do, but I'm going to take the rest of today for myself. Thank you again. Okay, well the community seems to have called it just like I did, awesome, and OP apparently was listening. So now let's move on to the update to see what OP did and how this story ends. I know I told you guys I'd update sooner, but I'm so tired and exhausted I just couldn't. This past week has been a roller coaster and I'm not entirely sure where to begin. Like I told you all in my edit, the day I posted I drove to my mom's because I needed her and her advice, which she gave. I also read through all your comments and took most of them to heart. I didn't answer his phone call on Monday, but texted him after letting his call go to voicemail. I asked him to meet me in a public place on Tuesday at a little cafe we used to go to. It's a place that's an equal distance from both of our houses. Tuesday came and I was so anxiety-ridden I could barely breathe. I asked him off the bat if he felt we could do some form of counseling, to which he immediately replied no. That was my last-ditch effort at making it work. I asked him to be honest about everything instead of giving me BS excuses. I then asked him why he couldn't just break up with me. It was obvious he wanted it and he wasn't willing to make the relationship work or even attempt to fix the issues. He said he was confused about us and that he needed time, that he hoped the month would give him time to get things into perspective. I told him that what he did to me was an effed up thing to do and he agreed. I asked him if there was anyone else and he said no. I asked him what he was confused about and he said he was confused about us in general, that he didn't know how he could make us work when he felt the way he did about me. He said he didn't want to fix it if he wasn't sure but didn't want to hurt me. I told him it was a little late for that. I then told him I loved him, but I couldn't make him stay if he didn't want to, so we broke up. I've been a mess since Tuesday. It hurts to breathe and I cry so much my eyes have become permanently puffy. I feel like I'm dying and it just effing sucks that we had to end. I know you guys are going to tell me that I'm young and I'll get over it and find someone better, but that currently doesn't matter to me. I loved him so much and it's just hard to think somewhere along the lines he stopped loving me. Now here's the kicker. He called me tonight to tell me that he'd been thinking about it and felt he didn't want to break up but call it a break instead. I told him no, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I told him that since he had told me he didn't love me, I couldn't be with him. I wouldn't let myself get hurt anymore by his indecisiveness. He then said, what if he did realize after thinking about it for a while that he actually did love me? I responded with, if that's the case, then you'll still love me in several months, and told him goodbye and that I had to go. I then deleted his number from my phone and took him off all of my social media, all while crying my eyes out. It hurts to wake up and it hurts to breathe and everything hurts in general, but I've picked up extra boxing classes to help out. Yes, I do have a great support system, but I also looked into a therapist for the emotional issues I have and will get over this whole thing. At this point guys, I'm just trying to stay afloat. Well OP, I have to say congratulations on the resolve and on staying strong in your decision. I believe it's the right one. And hopefully the work you do with your counseling and the support system will help you get on your way. All the best OP and thank you for sharing. Now even though I think this is a positive update, a painful one for OP but still positive, I think we require a mood booster. So stick with me and let's move on with that. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Ratsadatsa117. Full day overtime only? Many years ago, I worked as an engineer repairing retail customer PCs. Our team was small, and there were often times when the number of PCs needing repair was more than the team could get through during normal hours. In these circumstances, we were allowed voluntary overtime on Saturday and would get time and a half for it. The rules of the overtime were flexible. We could start when we wanted and finish when we wanted, and would get paid for each full 60 minutes we were clocked in for. Back then, my then girlfriend, now wife, used to work until 2 p.m. on a Saturday, so I would go in at 9:30 and leave at 1:30, giving me plenty of time to pick her up. This worked out great for everyone. However, the company's structure was a little strange, with the front-facing customer service under the management of one director and the back of the house, including my team, under the management of another, and they despised each other, constantly trying to cause each other problems. And of course, the workers were always caught in the middle. One fateful Saturday, I was working and noticed the front-facing director walk up, see that I was there, and move on without saying anything. I didn't think anything of it, and short while later left at 1:30 as normal. I got in as normal on Monday to find I had a meeting request from my director. Confused, I attended the meeting and found both my director and the front director also there. Turns out, the front director had arranged for a customer to bring in their PC for an urgent repair on Saturday, having confirmed I was there to fix it. On-the-spot repairs were very rare, reserved for only the most problematic or highest-spending customers. Me not being there to look at it caused the customer to have a meltdown in the shop in front of many other customers. Of course, the front director took the opportunity to bring this up with the managing director to get one up on my director, leading to the Monday meeting, where she was out for my blood. Luckily, as the overtime rules for our department were clear and I followed them, there was no direct action taken against me, with my director supporting me. However, one thing that did come from this was that we lost our flexible overtime. From that point on, if we wanted to do overtime on a Saturday, we must be there for the whole day. As I wasn't willing to lose my entire Saturday, overtime stopped. It took less than a month for the department's backlog to hit over 100 units. The target was to have less than 15 at the end of each day. I'd originally wondered why my director didn't put up a fight when the new rule was set, but it didn't take long to see the number of customer service complaints and call waiting times skyrocket, all of which was the front director's responsibility. Not long after, my director approached me smiling to let me know that the front director had gone to the managing director first to try to force us to do overtime, and when that failed, begged for the new rule to be removed. So, the next Saturday, I was back earning a little extra cash, and that director didn't try to screw around with our hours again. A very wise director you had back then, OP. Good for them. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.